Welcome to Flow Space 101 Wisdom Flow. Today, we are going to meet Tony Robbins. Many people know only Robbins as a speaker, coach, and author. He stands on big stages and speaks with confidence and passion. But Tony did not begin his life on a big stage. He came from a difficult background. So how did he rise? How did he build himself? Today, we are going to follow that story, step by step. Tony's childhood was not easy. His family struggled financially, and home life was often unstable. His father left when he was young, and he has spoken openly about how difficult and painful those early years could be. There were times of fear. There were times of uncertainty. There were times when life felt very dark. Tony could not choose the family he was born into. He could not choose the struggles that came to him. But later, he discovered something important. He could choose what he would do next. When Tony was about 11 years old, something happened that he never forgot. It was Thanksgiving. His family did not have enough money for a Thanksgiving meal. Then someone knocked on the door. A stranger had brought food for the family. Tony did not even know this person. But someone who did not know him had decided to care. That moment stayed with Tony for the rest of his life. He realized something very simple. Strangers can care. One person's kindness can change the way another person sees the world. And years later, Tony would try to give that same kind of help to other people. Sometimes a small act of kindness becomes much bigger than we ever imagine. But how did Tony begin changing himself? One of the biggest answers was surprisingly simple. He read, and read, and read. Tony says that after learning speed reading, he read more than 700 books over about 7 years. He studied psychology, human behavior, health, personal development, and biographies of people who had overcome difficult lives. Think about that. Tony could not choose his childhood. He could not suddenly become rich. He could not instantly change everything around him. But there was one thing he could do. He could change what entered his mind. Books allowed him to meet people he had never met. They showed him ideas he had never heard before. They showed him that other people had suffered, struggled, learned, and still built meaningful lives. Books became some of his first mentors. And this may be the easiest part of Tony's story for any of us to copy. You don't need to become Tony Robbins. Just start with one good book. Read, learn, grow. A different future can sometimes begin with a single page. And then, something happened that became a turning point in Tony's life. When Tony was in high school, his speech teacher, Mr. Cobb, noticed something in him that Tony had not yet recognized in himself. After watching him speak, his teacher told him, "You're not a speaker, you're a communicator." Those words reached Tony deeply. Mr. Cobb saw that Tony had an unusual ability to connect with people, to make them listen, feel, and respond. Then he gave Tony a speech called The Will to Win and encouraged him to enter a speaking competition. Tony read it and cried. He felt, "This is me." But inspiration alone was not the breakthrough. Tony acted on it. He practiced. He entered the competition. And he won first place. Then he competed again and won again. For the first time, Tony began to realize, I have a way to reach people. Years later, Tony became emotional while remembering this moment. He called it a moment of grace, because he knew that although he had worked hard to build himself, he had not created this moment. Someone had appeared in his life, seen something he could not yet see, and opened a door. Tony described recognizing grace as a connection to the divine, a reminder that life can be bigger than our own effort alone. Sometimes we work hard, sometimes we build ourselves, and sometimes, something unexpected comes to us through another person, a teacher, a mentor, a word of encouragement that changes our direction. Someone believed in Tony. Tony chose to act, and a new path opened. Sometimes someone sees your gift before you do. Maybe grace is recognizing that moment when it comes and having the courage to walk through the door. But Tony did not learn only from books. He began looking for people who were already living and thinking in ways he wanted to understand. One of the most important was Jim Rohn. Tony attended his seminars and later worked with him. And instead of simply admiring successful people, Tony studied them. How do they think? How do they communicate? What habits do they have? What can I learn from them? He listened, he observed, he asked questions, and he learned. This gives us another important lesson. You don't have to figure out everything by yourself. Books can mentor you, teachers can mentor you, sometimes even the life story of someone you have never met can guide you. Learn from great people. You do not have to figure out everything alone. Books can guide you, teachers can guide you, mentors can guide you. Learning from others does not make you weak. It helps you grow faster and wiser. But Tony did not stop at learning. He practiced. He has shared that when he was young, he made huge numbers of business calls and kept trying, even when he failed. He learned by doing. He learned by repeating. He learned by facing discomfort again and again. Later, he spoke to small groups, then larger groups, and eventually, huge audiences. That transformation did not happen in one day. Every awkward conversation was practice. Every mistake taught him something. Every small stage prepared him for a bigger stage. Reading opened the door, but practice changed his ability. Knowledge plus action creates change. What you know matters, but what you repeatedly do with what you know matters even more. So what can we learn from Tony's story? Not that everyone should become Tony Robbins. And not that success always means standing on a huge stage. The deeper lesson is this: your beginning does not have to decide your ending. Maybe your life has been hard. Maybe you feel behind. Maybe you feel unsure of yourself. But you can still read. You can still learn. You can still listen. You can still practice. And maybe someone has already seen something good in you. Or maybe it is time for you to begin seeing it for yourself. And you can choose kindness, just as one stranger once showed kindness to Tony. Little by little, you can build abilities that you do not have yet. So when your life feels difficult, remember, you can do hard things. You can keep learning, and you can keep becoming. You don't need to build Tony Robbins. You need to build you. Keep growing, keep shining. I believe in you. Thank you for being here today.